All right, we've got a good critical mass of people who registered who are showing up here, so we'll go ahead and get rolling. We know some will still be running late, so this will be made available, the recording for anyone to watch afterwards. Feel free to share with anybody and everybody. I am Mitch Stutler. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VividCharts, and I've got my co-founder Rob Walsh joining us as well here. And today we're going to talk about optimizing your data operations architecture, really around automated operational reporting. So this is the second part in a series of webinars focused on AOR, really workshops. And this one will have a specific focus, like I said, on the data operations architecture. So today we'll show the agenda of what we're going to get into. Since this is the second part of this webinar series, there will be some slides from the previous ones just for people who weren't able to watch that one. We're not going to spend as much time on those, so we won't go into as much depth. But if this is the first webinar you joined with us, it could definitely be helpful to go back to the previous one and see some of that more in-depth convo. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with an intro to VividCharts for those of you who are not customers today. And we're going to talk about what is AOR. We're going to talk about the path to value with AOR, what some of those outdated reporting tools look like today in the enterprise stack, and then how you can begin your journey in AOR.
All right. And yeah, again, for those who weren't able to attend the last webinar, just so you all know a little bit of background about VividCharts, we are a certified advanced build partner of ServiceNow. So we've been in their partner program for over 5 years. And our plugin lives directly in your ServiceNow instance as a customer. And we automate operational reports directly out of the platform. Now, like Mitch said, we went into detail on the types of automated operational reports in the last webinar where we actually stepped into the product. So that's a good resource for you all also. But today we're going to spend more time talking about the data architecture that underlies operational reports and what's available to you as a customer today already with ServiceNow. So we're going to cover some of the same concepts, but the dialogue we're going to have is going to be more from that underlying data architecture perspective. So that sets the stage a little bit on some of the things we're going to cover. Mitch, do you want to kind of revisit this slide and the overarching problem that we're focused on here at VividCharts from a data perspective, and then I'll kind of tie that into the types of AOR to rehash that.
Absolutely. We call this the data bottleneck. And just to touch on a couple of stats on what this means, 97% of ServiceNow customers are pulling data out of the platform to create meaningful business reports. And this leads to thousands of wasted hours manually manipulating data for operational reports. Nearly every ServiceNow customer is primed to automate their reporting with ServiceNow data. They've got the data, they've got the data model, they've got the platform being ServiceNow. Just most are not doing it today. And do you want to elaborate on that, Rob?
Yeah, I think the like from the data architecture point of view that we're going to spend more time on today, the interesting part about this from a customer standpoint is most of the time when we're pulling data out of the ServiceNow platform, we're going to an unstructured environment, like something like Microsoft Excel, something like PowerPoint, or in other cases, we're going to a data warehouse where we actually have to restructure the data that's already structured in the way that matches our processes in the ServiceNow platform. So when we talk about automating operational reports, it's kind of interesting that the data is already architectured and structured in a way that would support automation, but we're moving away from that to an unstructured environment that actually creates inefficiencies. So we're going to talk more about that throughout the presentation today and talk more about why we end up in some of those unstructured environments or restructured environments. But the big message to hammer home is the data is already structured in a way that supports automation. So it can and should be the easier option for you as an enterprise. So we'll be touching on that throughout the presentation today. Now, just to kind of rehash this from the previous webinar, where we covered this conceptually in slides and did a demo of each of these three report types in the product. But there are three automated operational report types that VividCharts helps customers support and get out of unstructured data environments like Excel and PowerPoint. We have advanced dashboards, which pretty much every reporting tool out there supports. So, self-service views includes charts, filter types, etc. But the second two report types is where we start to really differentiate and also see a lot of manual effort and inefficiency for customers. And that is in slide decks, where there's one approach in an unstructured environment like PowerPoint, where you can produce those manually, or you can use the value of your structured environment that you've already invested in ServiceNow, pair it with an automated slide deck from VividCharts. And then the third report type, again, very common to see a scaled report that summarizes a single record, a project status, a major incident review, a problem root cause analysis, where we're summarizing a single record, but we're doing so in an unstructured environment where VividCharts is the automated solution that can take advantage of the structured environment that you have in place today and have made significant investments to have, and provide the automated report type out of the platform. So the three report types of AOR: advanced dashboards, automated slide decks, and scaled report generation. Now, Mitch, I'll pass this back to you to kind of point us back to, from an automated operational reporting standpoint, there's a ton of value in just the raw time savings you get from going from manual to automated, but there's also bigger, more strategic outcomes that are probably even more important. So take us through those here.
Yeah, and we won't go as deep into these as we did in the previous webinar, but just to hit on each of these, what the people who are really the change agents in automating operational reporting for their enterprise, they understand those hard dollar savings that comes with the automation, but they're really after these themes. These are the things that they're trying to tackle. One, they're trying to increase their ServiceNow user adoption. Like how tough is it to get somebody to actually use the platform that you've invested a lot of time and energy and money into? If you're asking that person, hey, come in here, do your work here, keep your records updated here, but then go manually report on all of that somewhere else. Some of those people will just want to cut out what they view as the middle layer. In that scenario, they're viewing ServiceNow as the middle layer, and that just detracts from everything you're trying to do with ServiceNow. The second one is data transparency for all stakeholders. So everybody wants to make this data available to anyone who they think can actually benefit from it in their organization. Now, the problem is when this is done manually, it takes a lot of work to get those built out. There's not necessarily consistency with it. And then it's a relatively manual process to distribute it to those stakeholders. So they want to find a simple way in platform to enable access to their stakeholders to get to that data. And the third one is enable agile strategic planning. So how long are you comfortable waiting to distribute manual operational reports? Think about, okay, the month ends, the quarter ends, you've got a slew of reports and PowerPoints that you need to go populate with ServiceNow data. How long can you wait on that? Is 4 weeks okay? 2 weeks? 1 week? 3 days? Like, how much would it mean to your organization if you could have that immediately as soon as the month closes, the quarter closes, and you could start making decisions and taking action immediately?
And what's really important to just kind of point back to with these big outcomes is these are part of the reason you took the workflow from an unstructured workflow into a structured workflow in ServiceNow to begin with. So we've gone from unstructured work to a structured workflow and process in the platform, But from a reporting standpoint, far too often we're going from structured back to unstructured to get our reports. So let's leverage the structure and architecture and the data model that we have in place to deliver that automation all the way to the end report output. So let's take a little bit closer look into the discussion around the path to value. So Mitch, I'll let you kind of talk through this, this path to value that we've been putting together here.
Yeah, so in the last webinar, we talked in depth about what we call the 3Ds of automated operational reporting. And those are data, design, and delivery. Now, the good news is for every ServiceNow customer, you have the data in your platform and it's ready to be automated. And then the next step in automating and finding value in AOR is actual reporting. So this is where you'll see a lot of that design. And then the next one is delivery. So you've got the data, you're wiring up the reports to that data, and now you're distributing it to those stakeholders like we talked about in the last slide. Once these stakeholders have these reports and they have them instantaneously, that means they can make their decisions much, much quicker than when it was manual or non-existent. And what that leads to obviously is action. Like, okay, we made decisions. How quickly can we course correct? How quickly can we double down on something that's working? And that's where you really find that value in automating that operational reporting cycle. You're really condensing that whole cycle by automating it. So you can get to value much, much quicker. And sometimes you can get to value in scenarios where you never were able to before.
All right, so let's bring this back to one of the concepts we covered in the previous workshop, the distinction between what is reporting versus what is analytics, and talk about it more from a data architecture standpoint and data structure standpoint. So far too often, reporting and analytics get grouped into the same bucket, and that's what leads us to choosing the wrong tool for certain scenarios. So from an automated operational reporting standpoint, just to kind of rehash, we want to show what's happening or what has happened. We want to organize and present data in a way that is very easy to consume and consistent so that we can deliver it on periodic intervals. And we want to push that out to our audience for consumption and interpretation. So that's kind of the cycle Mitch just took us through there. From an analytics perspective, it's much more about interpreting, questioning, collecting data over time, and really trying to bucket data in a way that allows us to gain insights and explore what's happening in a certain process area. From a just from a data architecture perspective, automated operational reporting is fully structured directly in the ServiceNow platform because that's where the processes live. But when it gets put in the same bucket as an analytics discipline, that's where it gets a little bit complex. And an analytics discipline for a large enterprise is a very complex discipline that may sometimes involve data from other platforms. And that's where it really makes sense to be in a BI platform. But because reporting gets put in that same bucket, we end up overcomplicating something that should be easy and automated out of the platform where the work is happening. So wanted to, again, revisit this distinction between reporting and analytics and why it's important to have that distinction from a data architecture standpoint. So you choose the right tool sets that are the easiest to implement for the type of report that you're trying to generate. Mitch, anything you would want to add on this concept?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the 3Ds of AOR again, data, design, and delivery. And we talked about this in the last webinar. In order to achieve AOR, you need control of all three. So when you talk about picking the wrong tool for the wrong problem that you're trying to find a solution for, let's play that out. If you're trying to automate your operational reporting, you're bringing in potentially an external team or individual who specializes in that analytics or BI tool to try making it fit your operational reporting needs. Now you no longer have control of the 3Ds. which means it's never really going to be automated. Like you won't have the ability to be nimble. You won't have the ability to actually make decisions and changes to your operational reports on an ongoing basis. You'll be somewhat bound to their timeline. Whenever you introduce a third party, even if it's internal to your organization, who's operating on a separate set of objectives from yourself, you can't really expect them to move at the same pace that you need to, and you need to understand how everything is put together. So I think that's a really important thing to call out here when you're thinking through the difference between operational reporting and analytics.
All right. And so let's start to talk about some of the missing pieces and some of that kind of pointing back to the path of value. Mitch, take us through your point of view on out of the box reporting, operational reporting, and analytics tools, and help us think about it from the way all these things need to fit together.
Sure. So, in the best in class ServiceNow customers, you see all three of these working in harmony. So, out of the box reporting, it's fantastic for democratizing the data. Anyone can run a report whenever they need it. And this really removes the admins as blockers for that real time information. So, this is a critical piece of the foundation here. Out of the box reporting plays a very important role. Then you've got your automated operational reporting. This is the set of standards that you have set, and you want to automate the delivery of these operational reports. So, this is also very important. This is taking away something that is historically very manual, but very, very important that you need control of. And then lastly, analytics tools, whether it's performance analytics, whether you're putting your data in a data lake because you're combining it with other sources and you're running true analytics against it, whatever that might be, this is a very important part of the process as well. But just imagine how much time you'll have to invest in analytics if you take care of the other areas. If you're automating your operational reports, you're getting all of that time back. They're on autopilot. You've got them when you need them. Now you could focus on some of that more meaningful analytics work on the back end of it.
And if we just kind of look at the starting point here with ServiceNow out of the box reporting, it's a great starting point. But what leads us from the structured environment where the processes live to the unstructured environment where reports end up? Well, if we go back to the 3Ds of automated operational reporting, it's a data challenge, it's a design challenge, or it's a distribution challenge. So ServiceNow out of the box, while provides great functionality for in-platform users, it falls short on each of those in distinct ways that you have to get around as a customer. But if you start to plug those, that is the path to getting that efficiency and the automation, that easy button out of the platform where the report is just there for you in the correct data and visualization in a design and format that suits the audience that is consuming the report, and distributed in a way where they have easy access in the format that makes sense for them, whether that's a browser-based format, an exported format in PDF or PowerPoint, etc. So, what are the challenges that you run into and limitations out of the box that lead you to the unstructured environment? That's how you make the most out of your structured environment, plug those gaps. And now, if we start to take a little bit of a better look into some of the tool sets that we're using that aren't serving us in an easy and efficient way, these are where we start to get a little bit less structured with our approach to reporting. So we have Excel for data manipulation and charting. So we end up in Excel, an unstructured area, to get that flexibility to manipulate the data in a certain way, maybe perform calculations or manipulate into charts that just aren't available out of the box in ServiceNow. So again, that's primarily a data challenge that if you have a wider library of charts, if you have a deeper chart functionality within that chart library, if you have the ability to calculate the data in the system the way that you need to, you can keep that same end result but keep it in the structured environment that you've already got in the ServiceNow platform. Same would go for the PowerPoint presentation from a design perspective. So a lot of the times we end up in an unstructured environment like PowerPoint to get a certain presentation type, the ability to tell a story with the data, right? Pair charts that are driven by data aligned to our processes, but also to add context with what's happening operationally. So again, if we can get those design elements right and the report type right in the structured environment, we can streamline without sacrificing on that end presentation type that we need. And then lastly, a common workaround is just to do some development work fully custom directly in the ServiceNow platform. Now, Mitch, you come from a background of that work, right? You know what's possible there, but you also know the very specific skill set that's required to build custom visualizations outside of a structured supported tool like a VividCharts or even outside of an Excel based report. So it's a highly specialized skill set that's needed that really doesn't set you up for success if you want to iterate on what you've actually built or make changes to it over time. So, Mitch, love to hear your perspective on these coming from that custom development background and actually helping, our own customers avoid, the Excel and PowerPoint based manipulation as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'll touch on the custom development first. Um, while technically feasible, it is not sustainable. And that's really what led us into Vivid Charts and getting started was sure you could get that up front and meet the need of the day. But as that need evolves over time, that is a really high cost of ownership. And if you're looking to do that with internal resources, what are you pulling them away from to do this custom reporting? So it's very problematic. We recognize that from the jump. Then the other two, one of our earliest customers kind of has a story that combines both of these Excel and PowerPoint reporting types. So this customer, really, it was a wake up call for us. What they were doing was every single month, they were pulling tons of data out of ServiceNow into a single Excel workbook. They were doing all sorts of manual manipulation and calculations on that data, ultimately putting it into a PowerPoint deck. And this took them literally 4 to 5 days every single month to put together. And these were very highly skilled people doing the work with a lot of ServiceNow expertise. And the only thing that was changing on a monthly basis was the data points itself. So it really just didn't make sense. And they were the ones who asked us, hey, is there any way we could use Vivid Charts to deliver slide decks with ServiceNow data without taking it out of ServiceNow?
Well, and the good news is, Mitch, the story you shared was very, very early in our trajectory as a company. So it's gotten a lot easier from a product perspective with Vivid Charts to solve some of these issues and deliver on that automation. So, what we kind of encourage organizations that are talking with us to think about is don't overcomplicate it. It's identifying what are your key operational reports for your process area, right? Chances are you already are producing these in a manual fashion. And if you're not, it's a good way to, kind of move down the maturity curve and start providing these in an automated fashion, right? So move from, a less mature state to every single month, we know exactly what we're getting out of the system for our process areas. So project and program status reporting, steering committee updates for portfolio decks, demand reviews, incident and problem root cause analysis reporting, CAB meetings, sending the agenda out, recaps from those. And for our managed service providers out there, you're providing monthly and quarterly reports back to your customers that show what you're delivering for them on a monthly and quarterly basis, right? So identify what are the key operational reports and how are we producing them today, right? So if it's manual, it's really straightforward. How many reports are there? What's the frequency that we have to deliver them? And how long does it take us to produce, right? really easy calculation to just show, hey, these are the resource hours or resource spend that we're going to get back through an automation effort. And if you've gone the custom development route, right, or are considering that, take into account, the ongoing support, the ongoing maintenance. What are you sacrificing by needing that specialized resource to iterate? Or if you're going or considering the data warehouse BI route, what are you outsourcing, right? You're outsourcing your own control over the report outs that you're needing as a process area. So take into account the full cost of this, and then look at how do we deliver it in an automated fashion. And that's what we do when we talk with organizations. From a demo perspective, we covered a demo in the last installment of this webinar series, so that's recorded and out there, so you could go and get a little bit of a taste of what the VividCharts product provides there. If you listen to that recording, you can also book a demo directly with us, and we'll pull up your PowerPoint slides, your Excel sheets, and we'll look at them together, and we'll show you back with our own product how we can deliver the automated solution for those. So, and message along this is don't overcomplicate it. Identify the reports, put a cost to it, and then compare that against an automated solution, right? Don't overcomplicate it. And just to build on that, right, this is kind of the end result when you go through that as an organization, right? And just as an example here, if we have 50 reports that we produce on a weekly basis, so think about it as a project status report, for example, reporting status weekly, we spend about an hour at $100 an hour in terms of resources. Well, that adds up in a pretty prolific way over the course of a year. 2,600 resource hours. You can put a pure dollar figure to that with your resource cost, and you have a really easy logic-based case for automation. But pointing back to the outcomes that we started with, that's the real value that you're going to get. You're going to get the time savings back, the resource savings back, but you're going to get those more strategic benefits of automation with better user adoption, better visibility into process performance, quicker decision making. So this is how you make the case. Don't overcomplicate it. Lay it out in a really simple and straightforward way. And that's how you get support for an automation effort in this area. All right, Mitch, so if we just kind of move into wrapping up the session today, take us through some of the resources available to the audience coming out of today, some of the things we as an organization have coming up that are pretty exciting for folks interested in this category. I'll hand it off to you here.
Yeah, the first one I'll cover here is really exciting. We're really pumped for this, and you all are the first to hear this announcement, but we are organizing the first of its kind digital event called Real Time. So this will be a half-day, no-cost event on October 12th, and it's going to be focused on all things ServiceNow reporting, performance analytics, and all things of that nature in the ServiceNow realm. Real Time will have tons of sessions and workshops available, so you'll be able to choose your own path as to what you attend and don't attend. And we'll have presenters from not just VividCharts, but from our customers, ServiceNow's customers, leading partners in the ecosystem, and even experts from ServiceNow. So go ahead and earmark October 12th on your calendar, and you can do that now. And you could also follow the link in the chat to opt in to be kept up to date as more details are released. So that's a little bit more longer range. That's in October, like I said, but more immediate. You're welcome to book a demo with us. Your ServiceNow data is ready for automated operational reporting. And if you're ready for that as well, go ahead and book a demo with us, and we'd love to hear more about the challenges you're facing, and we can give a demo of VividCharts as well. And the last thing I want to call out here is we've basically taken everything that we talk about in here and condensed it into a summary, the full AOR guide. And you're welcome to go ahead and download that if you haven't already. You could find that on our website. And yeah, again, really appreciate everybody joining today. We'll keep it open here for any questions and answers that roll through, and keep an eye out for the next event in this series.
We are seeing some questions roll in before we start fielding some of these. Just want to call out, a lot of the concepts we kind of shared a story of one of our earliest customers. The concepts you heard and learned about today were helped, we were helped in developing and delivering automation in these areas by our current customers. So always want to kind of point back to an appreciation to the customers who have helped us develop the product to deliver on what we're describing here. So really appreciate all of our existing customers out here. Wanted to call out and give a tribute to a few of them here. And with that, we'll kind of move into the Q&A section here, which we're starting to get some questions. So first one we're seeing is, say we buy this product, how long does it take to implement VividCharts in our instance? So I can take that one. We have seen a drastic improvement on how quick our customers are rolling out use cases. We've seen very, very quick build times. And what is actually taken the longest is getting consensus on the report formats that you want to automate in the end. So the product is making it really, really easy, just a couple of hours to get a report put together. And then it's just about showing it out, getting everybody bought in on the right standardized format, and you're ready to go live. So it's a very quick process.
Yeah, that's a good question. We've got another one here. How does this play with performance analytics? So I could take that one. We talked about the differences between operational reporting and analytics, and it's very important to think about those as separate. But there also is a really good integration there between VividCharts and performance analytics. Those of you who are familiar with PA and what it can do, you understand that it can create a data set that you couldn't get to without PA. How many incidents were in the stage of in progress on July 22nd? So that is something that we integrate with. So you can take that PA data and summarize it in an operational report. And then we leave the true analytics to PA when you're actually going to interrogate that data.
Awesome. Here's another one. Can we pull data from multiple tables? Mitch, that might be a good one for you to address.
Yeah, so we can definitely do that. There's a couple of ways to do that. So the first one I'll go to is we have full control over how the data is collected, and you as a customer have that control as well. That's a little more on the pro code side, but you can pull data just using ServiceNow APIs like Glide Aggregate, Glide Record to get that data and put it into a single visual. And the other thing worth mentioning is we have a dedicated chart team here at VividCharts that is looking for those new visuals that make sense to roll into the product. So there are scenarios where data from multiple tables is a really common use case, and we go ahead and put that into a chart and deliver it through our product. So definitely possible with VividCharts.
Awesome. And it looks like we got one more in here. What kind of permissions do you need to view reports? So there's a couple of layers to that. You can control who can actually have edit access versus view access of a report built with VividChart. So you can control who can actually make updates to the underlying report itself. But once it's published out, we actually have a distribution ability to share with any users, groups, or roles in your ServiceNow environment, but also any users that can just log in to your ServiceNow environment. So, users who access the portal to submit tickets, we can share with those users, even if they don't have a fulfiller role with ServiceNow. So really nice distribution advantage there in the product itself. We also have the easy export to PDF or PowerPoint. So that's kind of a nice distribution advantage there as well. All right, we're seeing a lot of attendees drop and no more questions coming in. So we're going to go ahead and close the webinar out. So look for the recording going out and the follow-up resources here soon. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great rest of the day.